These words are directed towards Jesus by the apostles. They're important for us to think about. We realize that you know everything and that you do not need to have anyone question. This is at the end of Jesus' life and at the end of his 3 years with his motley crew. And they finally got to the point where they said, "We know you know everything." Of course, we know that Jesus is the Word incarnate. Logos is the ordering principle of the universe. A lot of times we have the English translation is Word, that Logos is Greek, but it means that whatever orders the entire cosmos, all of that. And of course, we know language is an ordering of syllables and sounds to actually convey meaning. And so that's why we have him as the Word made flesh. But of course he knows everything. He's the Son of God. Now we're looking at it from our perspective, who've been infused with the Holy Spirit at our baptism and who have benefited from the generations of human person trying to understand the ways of God, and God illuminating the mind. Yet these apostles who walked with Jesus were still coming to know who he is. They still had not yet received fully the Holy Spirit. In some ways, you and me, are in a better place than what the apostles were. A lot of times we might think, oh, if I could go back in time, I would want to be one of the apostles, and because he got to hang out with Jesus for those 3 years and got to see him and touch him and all that. But what we fail to realize is what a gift that we have received at our baptism and our confirmation when we were infused with the Holy Spirit. Pentecost, which will come shortly for these apostles, changed everything for them. They went from a scared group of followers to people with energy and excitement who was willing to lay their life down to proclaim that Jesus is Lord. You and I have that same Holy Spirit been given to us. And that way we, in the Holy Spirit, can know that, yes, indeed, Jesus is the Word. He is the one that knows all. In God's plan for us, he at times recognizes we need special reminders of who he is. And the person who he oftentimes chooses for us is the Blessed Mother. Sometimes he'll choose St. Joseph, and sometimes particularly for an individual, another saint. But for you and me and the rest of the world, most of the time he chooses the Blessed Mother. And we can know this because of all the different apparitions that have occurred of the Blessed Mother across time. And currently, the claim that there's ongoing apparitions of her in Medjugorje. The message is always the same that Our Lady says. It's the will of her Son, Jesus, for you and me to fast, to do penance, and to pray. Now, we are in one of the most affluent countries in the world, in one of the most affluent cities in that most affluent countries in the world, at one of the most affluent time periods the world has ever known, the most affluent time period. What that means is that if anyone should fast and do penance, you and I should, because we know that we have been gifted with so much, and therefore our fasting is going to mean more because we could have so much more. And we also know that our civilization, our time, is quickly fleeing from, or a better way of saying, they're quickly turning away from the way of Jesus, the way of God. Our family, our friends, our sons, our daughters, our granddaughters, grandsons, we know people in our own lives that have left the practice of faith. We see the destruction that's happening within our country. We see where our political process has come. We can't imagine where it will go. We see all of this, and we know how much sin that is out there. And the warning of Mary to the 3 children sent to Lucia and Francisco is our warning too, here at this time in the United States. You and I need to do our part for reparation, for growth in holiness, to pray for others, and pray for our culture. And we do that primarily through penance and fasting. And finally, of course, praying the rosary. Today, on this memorial of Our Lady of Fatima, I think for all of us, we can remember her message. And remember, it's really all about Jesus. And it's all about helping ourselves and one another live a life totally dedicated to Jesus Christ, knowing he is the one who knows all. He is the Word made flesh.